The scene has been set really by way of the eye and ear witnesses, but the forensic evidence, that is really what's going to help determine whether there was intent here or not. So, Richard, to you first. When you heard Robin talk about the cricket bat that was used to damage the door potentially, and then there are gunshots that have pierced the door, what will forensics tell us about what came first and the direction in which they came, whether he did indeed has prosthetics on or not?
Yeah, I don't know that the forensics are really going to be able to answer all those questions here. I don't think
Why
so.
not?
I just don't think the science is strong enough to give you those precise answers.
Is it important to establish those things?
What's important to establish is, was this a premeditated, intentional killing? That's the whole essence of this case.
And how do you prove that?
Well, they're proving that this guy was reckless with his guns, that the screaming was a fight between them for an hour beforehand when she locked herself in the bathroom, and they're going to contend she did that to protect herself from him. And then all of a sudden, 4 shots go into the bathroom and he kills her. And that's the position of the prosecution. But the defense here is painting a picture of a different story, like defense attorneys
that he was paranoid.
Always do. Look, the
That's why he had
amount
the
of
gun all the
crime
time.
in
More
South
than that.
Africa
More
is
than
enormous. His house has been broken into before. Look, he's laying in bed with no legs, really. He can't protect himself. He's been beaten before in burglaries. 45 people die every day in South Africa. The violence is inconceivable to us. He had a licensed handgun, and you know, he thought he was in trouble. But
yeah, but there's more than that.
Girlfriend is next to him. Doesn't he check to see if she's there?
So, Avery, how do you see it then? You said there's much more to it than this.
I do. I mean, Samantha Taylor, who was Oscar Pistorius' former girlfriend, testified. And if you recall, Barry Roos is sort of the Johnny Cochran of defense lawyers there in Pretoria, talked about Oscar having the voice of a girl, the voice of a woman, you know, like Eka Mouse or something. Well, what Samantha Taylor testified to about was that he has a male scream, whatever the heck that is. But more importantly, what Taylor testified to, and I think it's been a powerful part of the first week, is that Pretoria is fraught with crime, and Richard alluded to it. There have been break-ins there. He's had to pull a gun to trace intruders in the past, and that's a very powerful part of the defense. And what Barry Roos, the defense lawyer, has been doing is carefully advancing that argument that it was understandable what happened that night, that Valentine's night, and that's where they're going. I do actually think that the forensics coming up next week will be important to show the impossibility of what the defense is trying to show here. And remember, the burden is on the prosecution, and there's no jury, Frederica. In South Africa, it's Judge Mapisa and assessors, and that's it. No jury.
And the prosecution will also try to establish that a light was on. And if the light was on, that sends a very different message of visibly being able to see what was happening in that unit versus if the light was off and he was, you know, disoriented and afraid that there was an intruder.
That issue is not going to swing the day here. The question is intentional murder or culpable homicide. If it's culpable homicide, it's 15 years or perhaps no time. That's going to be the verdict in this case.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.